She seems unable to get married because she's always just drawing. I thought I'd share some of my happiness with her. At my brother's wedding, his wife, who looks down on me for being a high school graduate and an illustrator, said something shocking. I was so surprised that I opened my eyes wide and looked at her. Well, I'm not sure if this person will ever get married. After all, she's just a high school graduate. My brother is an elite, but why did it turn out like this? I'm embarrassed to become her family member. She said this all at once and then looked around the venue. She seemed to be waiting for a burst of laughter, but the venue was completely silent. So, this is the part you guys should laugh at. Right after Jenny said that guests from my brother's hospital started standing up and walking towards the exit. I quickly murmured in a low voice, "Oh dear, she's done it now. My name is Stacy Cohen. I'm 30 years old. I live with my father, a company employee, my mother, a homemaker, and my younger brother, Peter, who is 2 years younger than me and a doctor. We've always been close as a family. However, although we live peacefully now, there have been difficult times in the past. In my third year of high school, I was part of the art club and won many awards for my paintings. I was preparing to enter an art university after graduation, but then my mother was diagnosed with cancer. The family was shocked. But of course, this was expensive. Since ours was a regular salaried workers' family, the treatment costs were a burden. Nevertheless, we didn't give up on my mother's treatment, seeing my father worried over the household finances. I told him, "Dad, I'm going to give up on the art university entrance exams." "Stacy, you wanted to draw, didn't you?" "It's okay. I can draw without going to school. Besides, Peter has good grades, right? He'll need money for his studies too. I want to prioritize Mom and Peter." My father apologized repeatedly, saying he was sorry for being incompetent, but I have never regretted that decision. It was the only choice at the time. After graduating high school, I joined a company related to video production. I worked hard from morning till night and visited my mother whenever I had time. This routine continued for a while. Later, my mother's treatment was successful and she was completely cured. Having witnessed our mother's battle with illness, Peter decided to become a doctor and entered medical school with a scholarship. My parents are still a loving couple. At 28, Peter works as a senior resident in surgery at a major hospital. As for me, I started drawing again over the last 10 years. Now, I'm an up-and-coming illustrator. I provide illustrations for major magazines and hold my own exhibitions, leading a busy but fulfilling life. Recently, I even met a boyfriend at one of my exhibitions. It's Robert Johnson. He's a fan of my paintings and shyly complimented my work, which led to him asking me out for a meal. I was attracted to him from the first moment I saw him, and after several meals together, we started dating. Robert is a sincere and kind management consultant. I'm embarrassed to tell my family, but we're in a serious relationship considering our future. That's how my days were going until one day. Peter said, "I found someone I want to marry. I want you to meet her." My parents and I were surprised. We've never heard any stories about Peter's romantic life. He was always studious and focused on his work, the shy Peter getting married. Our family celebrated him and looked forward to meeting his fiancée. Finally, the day to meet Peter's fiancée arrived. He said he would bring her home, so we anxiously waited for their arrival. Then, Peter appeared with his fiancée. "Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Jenny Manning." Peter's fiancée turned out to be more glamorous than I had imagined. I learned that she had won a beauty contest at university and now works as a receptionist at a large corporation. We, the family, entertained Jenny, albeit nervously. Soon the conversation turned to me. "Jenny, my sister here is a popular illustrator." When Peter introduced me like that, then he exclaimed, "Wow, that's amazing." "Sit up, Jenny. Did you graduate from a famous art university?" No. I didn't go to college." I answered with a bit of awkwardness, and Jenny looked surprised. "Both your father and mother are college graduates, right? Are you the only one who's different?" Before my father could say something, I interrupted, "Yes, that's right. But I believe that it's because of that choice that I am where I am today." Jenny responded indifferently. Is that so?" Though the atmosphere turned a bit strange for a moment, the conversation soon became pleasant again, and the gathering ended on a good note. At that time, I naively thought, it's good to see Peter so happy. Later, Peter told me, "I'm getting married in 3 months. The marriage registration would be after the wedding ceremony." I casually mentioned this to my boyfriend, Robert, while we were having dinner on our anniversary. "My brother is getting married. His fiancée is very beautiful. It's wonderful news. Somehow the timing is perfect. What do you mean? Then Robert took my hand and said, "Stacy, will you marry me?" What? Really? Robert smiled and presented a ring with a large stone. I had vaguely thought about the future, but I never expected a proposal right then. Thank you. I would be delighted to accept. I smiled at him. If we get engaged at the same time as your brother, do you think your parents will be surprised? They'll just be happy. Robert, thank you. I'm really happy. I held Robert's hand tightly and smiled. Thus, we became engaged, but since Peter was busy with wedding preparations and work, I introduced Robert to my parents first. They were overjoyed and congratulated us on the unexpected news. Stacy, you've done well to find such a wonderful person. I remember laughing at my father's words. We decided to plan our wedding after Peter's ceremony had settled down. Robert's parents also warmly welcomed me. My father-in-law said to me, "Would you come to a party I'm hosting soon with Robert? I want to introduce you as my son's fiancé." I happily agreed and spent a pleasant time at my in-laws' house. At that time, a certain thing came to light during my conversation with Robert and his parents. But I kept it to myself. One day, less than a month before my brother's wedding, I received a call from an unknown number. Since it's common for me to get work calls like this, I answered the phone without a second thought. "Ah, hello. Is this my sister?" I recognized that high-pitched voice. It was Jenny, Peter's fiancée. "Jenny, how did you get this number?" "I got it from Peter. I was wondering if we could talk just the two of us. Are you free sometime soon? Is there something she needs from me, or perhaps it's about some surprise for the wedding ceremony?" With these thoughts, I rearranged my work schedule for the next day to meet with Jenny. The next day, Jenny arrived at the cafe we agreed to meet at, dressed up from head to toe as usual. "Jenny, what brings you here today?" I started the conversation and Jenny said, "You're an illustrator, right? Could you draw the welcome board for the wedding for free?" I was at a loss for words. As a professional illustrator, I always charge for my work, even when it comes from family members. People around me respect this, and I've never been asked to do something for free before. What's wrong? Don't you want a gift to drawing for your cute brother's wedding? Jenny's words left me speechless. Indeed, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event for my dear brother. Maybe I should gladly present it as a gift. Yes, I understand. I'll do it. Yay! Please make sure to draw me beautifully, okay? Jenny was ecstatic in front of me. If it makes her happy, then it's a small price to pay. I decided to think that way. By the way, are you planning to attend our wedding? What do you mean? I had already received an invitation from my brother and, of course, plan to attend. Well, it's a doctor's wedding, right? My parents and relatives are all college graduates. You'll be about the only high school graduate there. Can you handle it? Jenny laughed mockingly. It was clear she was belittling me. I was momentarily irritated but answered calmly. Yes, I'll be there to proudly watch over my brother's big day. Wow, you're brave. I couldn't do it. Good luck with that. Think so. Jenny left the bill and walked away. I watched her back in a daze. Despite Jenny's behavior, I devoted myself to painting the picture for my brother's wedding. I also attended the party that Robert's father had mentioned. Apart from that, I mostly stayed home, working on the painting between my job responsibilities. 3 days before the ceremony, the painting was finished, and I arranged for Peter to pick it up. Sis, thank you. The difference a professional makes is clear. I'm really happy. I'm glad you like it. Actually, there's something I wanted to tell you in person. I then revealed something to Peter. Hearing it, he was wide-eyed in surprise. Wait, sis, you're getting married? Is that really true? Yes, but please don't tell anyone yet, okay? Got it. Like he's sexual anyway. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the wedding in 3 days. I nodded and watched as Peter walked away. Regardless of Jenny's actions, I decided not to say anything as long as Peter was happy. 3 days later, we arriving at the venue with my parents. I saw my painting displayed in the welcome space. I watched the ceremony in the chapel with a warm smile, clapping my heart out. The reception moved to another location, featuring speeches on the hospital director and entertainment from friends. I enjoyed the meal while watching the event unfold. Then came the moment for the bride to present the bouquet. The host announced loudly, the bride wants to give her bouquet to the groom's sister. Stacy, he was surprised by the announcement. I was confused. Jenny wanted to give the bouquet to me. Why? As I was in a state of confusion. Jenny approached me with a big smile, and I became the center of attention in the entire hall. The groom's sister is a famous illustrator who gifted the welcome space illustration. As a token of gratitude, Jenny wants to present the bouquet to her. Realizing the reason behind Jenny's gesture, I thought to myself, so that's what it was about. And Jenny, now holding the microphone, announced, the main reason I want to give the bouquet to Stacy is because she's still unmarried. And the attention of the whole hall suddenly focused on me. I thought I'd share some of my happiness with her. The host, with a strained expression, was silent. The hall felt completely quiet, only the background music playing emptily. I stared at Jenny in disbelief. Ignoring my reaction, Jenny kept going. Well, I don't know if she'll ever manage to get married. After all, she's only a high school graduate. My brother's an elite, so why did it turn out like this for her? It's embarrassing to become related to her. After saying all that, Jenny looked around the hall. Her face seemed to be waiting for laughter to erupt, but the hall remained utterly silent. Huh? This is the part you guys should laugh at. Right after Jenny said that, guests from Peter's hospital started standing up one after another and walking towards the exit. What's happening? Jenny looked panicked, not understanding the situation. Peter was standing behind her, covering his eyes, looking down. Ignoring her, I murmured in a low voice, "Oh dear, you've done it now. Why are the hospital people leaving? Because I made fun of you. You're just a high school graduate." At that moment, I felt something snap inside me. Just as I was about to speak out in anger, Peter whispered, "My sister is engaged to the son of the hospital director." What? Yes, my boyfriend. Robert, his father, is the director of the hospital where Peter works. In other words, my future father-in-law was among the hospital staff present today. Since Robert's brother will inherit the hospital, Robert is involved in management consulting. I had greeted the hospital staff as Robert's fiancé at a party hosted by my future father-in-law recently, the deputy director and head of surgery who had left earlier. They all knew from the beginning that I was related to the hospital director. Jenny turned pale upon hearing this from Peter. What is that supposed to mean? Then the remaining director, my future father-in-law, turned to us. "Jenny, was it? You've said quite a lot about my future daughter-in-law in public." "No, it's not like that. This is..." Ignoring Jenny's attempt to explain, my father-in-law turned to Peter. "Peter, a piece of advice from someone who's lived longer. Choose your marriage partner wisely." I'm quite upset, so I'll be leaving now. Jenny, still trying to cling on, was ignored by my father-in-law, who then spoke to me. "Stacy, our family is very happy about your and Robert's marriage. Please come visit us again, together." Feeling emotional at his kind words, I nodded with gratitude, and so the director left the hall. As Jenny stood there stunned, Peter took the microphone and addressed the remaining guests. "Thank you, everyone, for gathering here today. However, I intend to call off this marriage. We will return the gifts at a later date. So please feel free to leave now." Held off. "What do you mean?" As Jenny confronted Peter, he snapped back. "Who sacrificed herself so I could go to medical school? I can never forgive that. Wait, I'm glad I saw your true nature before registering our marriage. I won't forgive you, no matter what. Consider our engagement over." And Jenny's guests, too, left the hall, looking at her disdainfully. "This wedding is ruined. I can't believe I won't become a doctor's wife. This is all your fault." As Jenny tried to lunge at me crying, the venue staff intervened. I smiled at her and said, "You said it was embarrassing to be related to a high school graduate, right? Good for you, then. It won't happen. I'm relieved, too." The tearing mess. Jenny gritted her teeth, screamed, and began stomping her feet. I glanced at her pitiful state and left the hall with my parents and Peter. As later, I heard that Peter and Jenny officially called off their engagement. Jenny tried to cling on until the end. But through lawyers and splitting the costs for the ceremony, the situation was somehow resolved. The wedding costs were considerable, especially since Jenny had already quit her job. In the end, she had to take out loans to pay her share. Jenny's parents, having witnessed everything, were furious and disowned her. Jenny's relatives, who were invited to the wedding, also cut ties with her. But with no one to rely on, I copied at least scratchers. Jenny moved into a shabby apartment and is apparently repaying her debts through night work. It must be humiliating for her, but I feel no sympathy. As for me, I'm happily married to Robert, and life is going well. My in-laws and the hospital staff have been very kind, which I'm grateful for. I want to continue living positively, without shame with the people I care about.